talking about was controversial to what I found and what my experiences were, because I found that you could hypnotize a person just as easy if he was cooperating or not cooperating. And in that book, he said that only the people could be hypnotized that were willing to be hypnotized.
And so you...
And I knew that that wasn't a fact.
You could do it non-willing.
I knew that the religious groups was hypnotizing against the other person's will or agreement. So that's what I started developing, a technique that's opposite of what that book said.
Oh, okay.
So then I started hypnotizing people. When I got to Laurie Air Force Base, they sent me there to go to a school for electronics. And I get there and they said, oh, the school's full. You won't be able to go to school for so many weeks. So they put me on permanent KP. And how adverse can you get? KP is the rottenest duty you can get in the military.
Next to latrine duty, yeah.
Well, it's worse than latrine duty.
Oh, is it?
Well, you get up to make food for to keep people going to school. You get up at 3 o'clock, and you get ready to go to make food for these guys that are going to school. So after about 3 weeks of going through that, then I have a lot of people that's totally willing to be hypnotized, or not willing to be hypnotized, but they volunteered to be hypnotized primarily to stop smoking. That was where it all got started. And then I started learning that you can do so many other things.
Honey, you got getting that raspy again.
I'm getting so bad I can't talk.
Drink some more water.
I cut one other.
Well, there's only 2 minutes in.
That I think is important.
Well, yeah, go ahead, whatever
We'll keep
you
it
want,
going.
Mel.
Keep it going.
And if you
Keep
were
it
able
going,
to,
you're fine.
if you were able to go back in your life, and do things over, what kind of things would you do differently? And what are some of the things you would choose to keep the same?
Well, I learned through a very short experience within the first 6 months in the military. I learned that the person that has the education got all the advantages. They have the first shot at the advantages. Whether they're qualified or not, they've got that first shot. So that would be the first thing I do. I would make sure I went through an education level that put me through at least some. The people that had 2 years of college had a total advantage over us. You could come into service with 2 years of college, immediately become an officer. You could not become an officer without college. You could, but you had to go to OCS, Officers Training Candidate School. And my testing, when my score went to basic, they had I'm trying to think, they don't call it an IQ test. AFQE is intelligence quotient. No, it's IQ is intelligence quotient. AFQE is your qualification. That's what level your brains are. You take a test, and you take it mathematics, you take it science, and you take it mechanics. There's about 5, and you have to have reading and interpretation, also knowledge, in other words, history. You had to have those basics. And the 4 main things that I passed real well on was science. I did pretty well in math. I wasn't bad. I got a 117. At 110, you qualified to go to OCS, but I didn't go to OCS. I didn't apply for OCS. I was already applied for Air Force. So Leonard believe it or not, Leonard got a 119. He beat me by 2 points, and we both went into the same thing, you know. And when I went into that training, how I got out of that food service thing, I hypnotized a guy in the bathroom. There was a guy there that says, "You can't do that. You're fake, you're phony, and all these things." I'll never forget that guy. He was I was on the top step, going down the two-step bathroom, and I know that the old story is the first punch is the one that gets, you have the advantage over the other person. I hit him in the nose, broke his nose. What? Just popped him in the nose, and then he jumps in and they start wrestling. So the next day, he has to go to the hospital, get his nose set. So the next day, the CEO calls us in for a reprimand and a court martial. They're going to give me a court martial. I told that CEO, I says, "What do you think you're going to do to me? You already got me in the worst situation that you could possibly get. There's no worse thing known other than KP. KP is as low as you get." And I said, "What are you going to do?" The other guy there, and he says, "Look," and the other guy was definitely stronger than I was. He was taller than I was. When he was standing two steps down, I was right even with his nose, and I got him good. Anyway, who was in there? Anyway, he was going to court martial us. So I was wise enough to know that you have the same thing. You got a legal officer in the military. They'll have, I forget the name of the terminology of them, but they're, you remember the name, what's that legal officer's duty?
Adjutant?
No, that's, well, anyway, he's the one that's in charge, like a police chief. Anyway, I wrote a letter, which is totally illegal, to him, to the adjutant. No, they don't call him. Anyway, I'll think of it. And I explained the whole thing, how we were tricked into being, that's what you say, they tell you one thing, you're going to do something else.
Yeah. They had a nickname of Jag.
Well, this is Jag, but it's not Jag. They call it, they got a name for it. But anyway, they come over and they started interviewing all these guys. Oh, these guys were getting in trouble. There were all these KP guys. They were going in and, they got guns and go out shooting the air at night and everything else. And I brought that all up to they was wondering what all this stuff. I said, "What are you going to, I put it on the level. What are you going to do to us? You can't hurt us. We're already at the lowest level, and you promised us something better." So immediately, they brought it. There was 30 of us that was in this thing. Started interviewing us to put us where we're supposed to be. I went over within 2 weeks after getting in that fight, which was totally, you don't want to do, theoretically you don't do that. But I got all the 30 guys. They got it in the fire department, they got into, everybody got the best duties that could be on that base. That's Lowry Air Force Base, Denver, Colorado. So by going into that, I started working on airplanes right away, immediately. And all you got to do is, I had more knowledge than most all of them. So with it, most of the time, you got 10 guys that don't know what they're doing and just there and put their time in. So I jumped in and started doing things. Pretty soon, they promoted me to corporal within 2 months, just a short time. So I put it, then I put in for the overseas. So the best way is to get duty overseas. So the reason I'm living right here now is I went through Hamilton Air Force Base, and I went through in November, and Hamilton was a paradise. San Francisco was a paradise.
Well, I can tell but just what words of advice would you like to leave for your family, friends, relatives, or descendants who may have the opportunity of viewing this video in the future?
Well, actually, this video is not of any high character. I mean, anybody can view it. I don't care. But
What, honey?
Huh?
Well, anyway, what, do you have anything else that you'd like to cover? Any advice or any,
I don't know how to approach that.
okay,
So,
all right, well,
I haven't got any.
Burned out.
Yeah.
Time to quit.
Most things have to come to you spontaneously.
yeah,
They don't. It's hard to.
well, I think you did a good job.
That's it?
Yep.
Okay.
How long was it I slept through?
Yeah. Oh, you got some of your good snoring in there.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Is that, okay.
Is it in B flat?
Well, I'm gonna do just a deal where we see everybody, just kind of like kind of see what a panoramic deal where who was all here during this interview.
Don't move it fast. Go
Okay.
slow.
Well, I'm trying to.
Get the raise.
Snoring? No. You didn't snore. English snore.
Hi. I usually snore.
Over and out.
Okay.